made strong in the Saviour's love. Through the storm, through the difficulties, through the challenges, through life's ups and downs, you are Lord of all, you are Lord over all, you are Lord in all. And while we don't always understand why you do what you do, we know that you do what you do because of who you are and because you do what is right all the time, Lord. Thank you for the opportunity to bless a child, for you to bless that child, and for the family and friends to be here this morning, and our brothers and sisters also. As we look briefly in your word, I pray that it will stir us, challenge us, and cause us to think a little bit more about what we're doing with our lives, and cause us to think a little bit more about the reality of you in the light of our lives and the way we live our lives. So we give this time back to you in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you. Like I said, another greeting for those that have just come in. Welcome to you, Beacon Church. My name is Eric, and I'll just be bringing, just for a short little time, bringing the word of God to you this morning. And it comes in the form of a question. Is anything a sure thing? Does anything last? The one thing that we can be sure of is that there are a few things that we can be sure of. If we know that we can't be sure of anything and nothing really lasts, then why do we put so much time and energy into these things? It's a question that I've asked myself many, many times. I've had many discussions with many people. Why do we put all our time and energy into things that last only a short time? Take, for instance, the area of the physical. Now, we know that officially summertime is here, and then men and women will be coming out in their shorts and t-shirts and really showing off what they got. I'll show you what I got later. Not much. Work on this tummy. But men and women, they'll go to the gym and they will spend hours. Blood, sweat, tears and energy to maintain or to achieve that look. Some will probably not as energetic or not particularly keen on the gym. Will probably do something like Weight Watchers or some other weight reduction program. And they will watch the calories and watch the points. And that requires a certain amount of discipline, because you know when the food is nice, you know that the nice food is always the bad food, and then the food that is not so nice, like your greens and your cabbages and stuff like that, what people probably wouldn't want, that's probably what we should eat. But we'll be there watching the points and watching the calories and working that gym and working that cross trainer. Yet, if you don't maintain it, if you don't do that input every day, we begin to lapse. If they don't build that body and maintain it, they cannot achieve and maintain that look. If you come off your points, then the weight comes on. If you have a weight reduction program and you don't follow it, you get on the scale, all of a sudden the tears begin to come down your eyes and you realize, oh Lord, I took off 2 pounds and now I've gained 6, what am I going to do? We realize that we have to maintain that regime in order to get that look or achieve that goal. The beauty industry is another one. Did you know, as a statistic, the global beauty care products industry was set to reach between 2012 and now, 2017, in the value of dollars, $265 billion. That's pretty amazing. $265 billion in the beauty care industry. Someone is making a lot of money. It ain't us, because we're the consumers, aren't we? We're the consumers. Someone's making a lot of money. And I'm just thinking, there's yet to be a product that offers you, without a shadow of a doubt, 100%, undivided, absolute approval of the fact of it being a cure for eternal youth. Has anybody found a product yet on the market and give you eternal youth? that once you apply it, you can never need to apply it again. You know the reason why they wouldn't actually have a product like that? It's because they would go out of business. Because once you buy that product, you don't need to go back to the marketplace and buy it, do you? You don't need to go back to the shop. But if they get a product that says refresh, and they got these actresses and actors and everything, they're staying there, and they've got all the makeup and everything. It says, you too can look like this, the pout and everything. And then they're saying how you can look, but they don't tell you how long it will last. It says, revitalize yourself, refresh yourself, do this, do that. But they never subscribe to it being anything eternal, because they know they can't do that. Only God can give something that is eternal, and that's the truth. We have a shadow. We make a shadow play of it. And yet for all the pampering and all the smothering and all the cleaning and all the styling and all the fixing up and all the nipping and all the tucking, age eventually catches up with us. Age eventually catches up. Some people say they want to grow old disgracefully. Some folks have said that. Heard some actors have said that. I'm going to grow old disgracefully. I don't care. I'm going to face age in the face. I'm going to slap it twice. And I'm going to tell him I'm not ready. Yeah, but it still come. It still come. It doesn't last. It doesn't last. But someone's making a lot of money out of an illusion that we can maintain a continual appearance of youth and vitality. Houses. You know, the housing market is great when it's buoyant. I remember talking to some friends at work. Some of them would do their normal jobs, and then they would also buy homes. And the idea behind it was to buy a house and rent it out, because it would pay for the mortgage. No problem, that's great. And some folks have made quite a success of that actual venture. And it's great, it's wonderful. And it's wonderful when the housing market is buoyant. And it's great when the houses are not in negative equity. But what happens when the bottom falls out of the housing market? What happens when you have tenants that you take on board and then they don't pay the rent? Has anybody had that? Don't raise up your hands. Just think about it. I was watching a documentary a couple of weeks ago about the legal ramifications and the implications of getting someone out of your house when they don't pay the rent. And it was absolutely horrendous. It was a sad thing to see. The person was sticking their head out of the other person's home. Remember, it's my home, and someone's sticking their head out of my home through the window, cursing me and telling me, I will burn this place down, I will tear it up, I will mash it up before I come out, and I will not be paying the rent. You can do anything you like. And there's nothing that you can actually do, not legally. Nothing you can do illegally. You can't do anything illegally. You have to follow a protocol. You have to follow a legal direction in order to evict them from the home. That's what can happen if you have homes, houses. There's a slump, tenants don't pay. Notwithstanding the fact of the cash to maintain the house and to fix up the house after they've left, which can run into the tune of maybe hundreds or thousands of pounds. Houses. Money. Amassing a fortune and telling myself and telling ourselves that we'll do this and we'll do that with it, and we can spend there and we can spend here, and we can go on this holiday and we can purchase this and that, and then one day you pass away. You pass away and you leave it all behind. Or maybe, as some people believe, they can bring it with them. You know, some people that wish they could just bring it with them, wish they could bring their money with them. Now let's just see, let's just play this one out. If it were possible for you to bring your money with you, right? So you're there in your coffin, and right beside you, there's I don't know how many, about £1 million, and we put it all around the coffin, lay it all in there, close it up, and you wake up and you come before the Lord. And you got your money. Okay. How much do you think it would cost you to pay for your soul when you're before the Lord? There is no monetary value that you can use to pay for your soul. There's a song, right, by a man called, well, there's different versions. This is a reggae version. Joe Masseria, also known as Joe the Boss, for some of us that are old enough to remember it. 1970s song. If life was a thing that money could buy, Lord have mercy. Where's the singers? Let me hear that again. If life was the thing that money could buy, the rich would live and the poor would die. Yeah! So there you go. And that's interesting lyrics. If life really was a thing that could be purchased by only the rich, many of us wouldn't be here. And that's why the Lord never subscribes to a financial transaction in order to attain salvation. It's never about money. And this singer and the original artist, they got the message. They got the message. It isn't about money. Jesus says this in Luke chapter 12, verse 15. He said, watch out. Be on your guard against all kinds of greed. And this is why I believe that the Bible is so up to date. It's really, really up to date. Probably more up to date than a newspaper. It says, a man's life does not consist in the abundance of his possessions. How many people we've seen on the news, and how many people we know who have amassed a fortune, they have great wealth, yet running alongside that great wealth is a great sense of depression, a great sense of lack, a great sense of unease, and a great sense of emptiness. I was thinking, how can it possibly be that you can have so much, and yet you can have so little? Because the Bible is bang up to date when it says that a man's life does not consist in the abundance of his possessions. You don't have joy in the things you have. You know what money allows you to do? It allows you to get things quicker. Those who are rich, they can just get something quicker than me. It took me about 11 cars to get my ideal car. And yeah, I know, I was into this car thing. And one of the reasons why I would buy the car, right, for two main reasons. It had to be 4 doors to get the kids in, okay? And it needed a big boot space, because the wife said, when you're doing the shopping, you can't put it in a little car, okay? So there's some little cars I would see, and I thought, wow, the car looks nice, man. And I said, shop the groceries, the monthly shopping, can't do it. And some beautiful 2-door cars, I'm thinking, the practicalities of getting kids in there, it ain't gonna work. So I stuck with 4 doors and the big boot. But now, I've got a different car. And we have our discussions about the choice that I made, but I saw it and I liked it. Yeah, I saw the car and I liked it. But anyway, I'm digressing. It's a means to an end. It's a means to an end, so I'll move that way. The things of this world do pass away. It does say that. Now, let me just say this. I just want to say this right from the start. I'm not bashing anybody and putting down anybody who wants to achieve. I'm a great advocate of progression and success and maintenance. I think you should maintain yourself. I think you should look after yourself. I think you should strive to succeed and be the best you that you can be. I think if you have initiatives, I think if you have dreams and goals and aspirations, reach for the stars. Don't get me wrong, don't think to yourself, oh, he's talking about never progressing, never making any kind of forward momentum. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that for many people, their whole life is wrapped up in that from beginning to end. And often it is to the exclusion of eternal things, their eternal destiny. The Gospel says in Matthew, one of the disciples of Jesus, he says this, it says, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. And it's so true. We find that the thing that we love the most, that is the thing that we will give the most time and energy and money to. I'm just thinking about this man. I think about the thing that I said earlier about amassing a fortune. And again, the Bible brings it into a lovely perspective, sharp focus. It says the man was about to tear down his barns and he was about to build bigger ones. He had amassed an absolute fortune, and his current physical barns couldn't contain all the riches and the material acquisition that he had. He couldn't contain it. So he decided to do this. He said, I'll tear down those barns and I'll build bigger ones. And then he says this, things are good. I'll sit back and I'll take it easy. And Jesus says of that man, that very night, his life was demanded of him. And what became of his wealth and his gain? Now, some folks are quite smart, although this is a controversial one to some. There are many, many wealthy people. Some folks have tied their money and bequeathed their money to, let's say, a pet's home, right? For cats or dogs. That's up to them. For those who are lover of pets and animals, that's great. I might bequeath it a little differently. Others have put it into property. Others have scribbled it off in offshore accounts. But wherever you put it, you can't bring it with you. Some folks have recognized that they can't bring it with them, so they're savvy, they're financially savvy. Some, they just leave it, and then the in-laws fight over the gotten gains of that person in the form of a will, contesting will, arguing. It's funny how money changes people. Let's bear that in mind. Money really changes people. But God says, this is how it will be for everyone who is abundant and self-seeking and fills up their life with things and not rich and not acknowledging God. He says, when you build and you acquire and you amass, one day your very life will be asked of you. What will you have? Yet, this is the same God who said to the children of Israel through the prophet Isaiah in the Bible, it says this, can a mother forget the baby at her breast and have no compassion on the child she has born? We blessed Lydia, and I'm just thinking, is it ever possible? Is it possible that Katrina could just forsake that little child? I doubt it very much. Is it possible that she could just put her to one side and forget about her? I doubt it. Is it possible that she could just deny that this child is hers? Quite possibly, but I doubt it. But even if it was possible, even if some cataclysmic, traumatic situation happened, and she did, God is saying, even if a person was to do that, I, the Lord God, will not forsake you. And that's a comforting thing to know when we're dealing with God. God is a person that cares about us. And that's the reason why he turns our attention away from the things that only last a short time, so that we can look at the eternal destiny. He takes our eyes sometimes away from the fortune, from the houses, from the money, from the big business. He takes our eyes sometimes away from that. He tells us that these things, while in and of themselves, they are good. They have mileage, they have some benefit. They don't ultimately lead you to where you need to go. He takes our eyes from those things and he puts the focus back on himself. And he says, can anybody forsake their child? And even if they could, and even if they did, I will not forsake you. He says this, and he loved the world so much that he made a plan. We were at odds with God. And so he made a plan. He says, I want to have a relationship. But you know, people are just doing their own thing. People are doing their own thing. That's what we call sin. Sin really is saying, I'll do it my way. Remember Frank Sinatra's song, I did it my way? And that is really the sentiment of a lot of folks. I'm going to do it my way. And the Lord says, well, you know, it's not necessarily my way or the highway. The Lord says, my way is the best way. But the Lord gives us free will. He gives us free will. And so we exercise our free will and says, thank you, Lord, I'll do it my way. And the Lord says that is sin. And there has to be a punishment. The Lord cannot ignore that. So he had to address it. He saw the whole world doing their own thing, and he had to address it. And he was looking around for somebody that he could place all of that punishment, all of that fury, all of that rage and that strength of feeling that he had. He looked for somebody that was perfect, that he could place it on. But he found that there wasn't anybody. So what did he do? He says, I'll tell you what, I'll come down and I'll take it myself. I'll take the hit for everybody here in this room, all of us, so that once that penalty, once that price, once that tab was paid, there could be a way open for us to have a relationship with God. Is anything sure? Is anything sure? Benjamin Franklin said the only sure thing is death and taxes. I don't really know about that. I don't know. It's a nice strap line, but I'm not sure about that, because once you pass away, okay, it's appointed unto man to die once, and then we face the living God. And when you pass away, taxes, you don't need to worry about that. We have a greater consideration that we need to be mindful of once we leave this life, and taxes is not one of them. Death is sure. Death is a sure thing. But how do we live our lives while we're alive? And I gave an example to a group of people when we were at a funeral service, and it was interesting about the whole thing of time, like a bank account. Each one of our lives is like a bank account, and we're allotted a certain amount of time. And we're spending that, we're spending it, but it never actually replenishes itself. Do you know that your life doesn't replenish itself? We know when I get to a certain age, I don't go back to being a certain age, I go from that age onwards. Your life is like a bank account. And you spend and you spend and you spend and you spend. And once you spend, it's all finished. It's all finished. You can't go back and work a little bit of overtime. You can't draw on any savings. You cannot ask any friends. You cannot ask a favour. Your life is like that bank account, but it's not renewed. God gives us X amount of years. And how we spend those years, how we spend that life, will determine the life that we're going to spend in eternity. Now, I love to give everybody an opportunity. I never, yes, I guess I've been told this actually. Don't ever let anybody miss out on the opportunity of hearing the word, so that they can never turn around and say on that day, I didn't know, no one told me. Yes, I told you at 11:20 on Sunday the 9th, you know, and now we know. What do you do with what you know? The one thing you can be sure of is that there are very few things you can be sure of. God is saying that He's a sure thing. And if in this short message there's been something that has made you think, made you ponder, made you consider, something that makes you think, yes, in this life life is short. You know, I think about going back to that training thing. Most of us know Arnold Schwarzenegger, yes? Not personally, but we know of him, the actor, turned mayor, and he's still an actor. And he acted in the film, the last Terminator movie, Terminator Genesis, right? And I think he was about 66 years old, or thereabouts. That's getting on, you know. But he's trained, and he's quite fit and everything. But even he would have come to that place where he would have had to concede that he was probably not the man that he was 30 years ago. Things pass, things diminish, things degrade. I really hope that he doesn't come back with another movie, because I'm not quite sure what you would call that. What would it be called? The Pensionator or something? I don't know. Instead of saying, I'll be back, it'll be, oh my back. But even he had to concede. And remember, he's got the financial resources to maintain himself. There's so many wealthy, well-to-do people have the resources to be able to maintain themselves. But even that withstanding, they know it doesn't last. We know it doesn't last. I think everybody in their heart knows that it doesn't last. But when the account is finished, when it's all finished and we're laid to rest, will we be able to say that I spent my life serving God, I spent my life seeking God, I spent my life coming after the person who says that I will not forsake you, I will never leave you? Or will our lives consist in the abundancy of the things that we've achieved in this life? I'm a great advocate in that, but that is not all that is for life. As you listen to those words, in a minute I'm going to ask for those of us who are able to stand, and we're going to sing that song together. And if you're in that place where you want to hold back nothing, you don't want to hold back anymore, you want to know something about what's been said, I'll be around for a little bit after the service. We have a number of leaflets and information to my left, your right, and our welcome team can make that information available to you. There are men and women here. I'm pretty sure as we begin to talk and share, if there's anything that's then prompted your thoughts, says, oh yeah, something that was said, I'm interested in that. I never push or force anyone to do anything in just like the heat of the moment, but just to really give some serious thought about what's been said. And like I said, there's literature here that you can read, you can talk to me, and you can talk to many of the brothers and sisters here. Please, later on in the service, speak to the family and friends of Katrina, and just make their acquaintance and enjoy the rest of the service. So it's like you to stand, please, for those who can. If you're unable to, just sit right where you are.